Hello history lovers and mythology enthusiasts, and welcome back to our channel. Today, we're journeying back to the land of pyramids and pharaohs to uncover the story of one of ancient Egypt's most misunderstood and controversial deities, Seth, the god of chaos. Forget the simple tales of good versus evil. Seth's story is a whirlwind of power, jealousy, and cosmic struggle that reveals the very heart of the ancient Egyptian worldview. So, who was Seth? In the grand pantheon of Egyptian gods where order or Ma'at was the ultimate virtue, Seth was its antithesis. He was the embodiment of chaos, disorder, and violence. Think of the most unpredictable forces of nature. That was Seth's domain. He was the lord of the vast, inhospitable desert, the Red Land, a place of blistering heat and desolation that stood in stark contrast to the fertile black land of the Nile Valley. When fierce, unpredictable storms rolled in, whipping up sand and terror, the Egyptians saw the hand of Seth at work. He was the untamable, the uncontrollable, the force that constantly threatened the stability of their world. His very appearance, often depicted with the head of an unidentifiable creature, some say an aardvark, others a wild dog, set him apart, marking him as strange and alien. But here's where it gets complicated. Seth wasn't just a villain. Ancient Egyptian mythology is rarely that black and white. While he represented chaos, he was also a god of immense strength and virility. This duality made him a fascinating and essential figure. In one of the most important myths, Seth took on the role of a valiant protector. Every night the sun god Ra would journey through the treacherous underworld in his solar bark. And every night, the monstrous serpent Apep, the ultimate embodiment of cosmic annihilation, would try to swallow the sun and plunge the world into eternal darkness. Who stood at the prow of Ra's boat, fighting off this ultimate evil? None other than Seth. With his mighty spear, he was the only god strong enough to repel Apep, ensuring that the sun would rise again each morning. In this role, Seth wasn't a destroyer of order. He was its ultimate defender, using his chaotic strength to preserve creation. This made him a protector of the pharaoh and a symbol of royal power, especially for rulers who needed to project an image of martial strength. This complexity is what makes Seth so compelling. He was both a necessary evil and a vital protector. He represented the harshness of the desert, yet his strength was needed to defend the very existence of the world. This tells us a lot about the ancient Egyptians. They understood that life wasn't just about peace and harmony. It was also about struggle, conflict, and the untamed forces that lie just beyond the borders of civilization. Seth was their way of acknowledging and containing that reality. He showed that even chaos had its place in the cosmic balance. Of course, we can't talk about Seth without diving into the most famous story in all of Egyptian mythology, the epic conflict with his brother Osiris. This is where Seth's destructive nature takes center stage. Osiris was the beloved king of Egypt, who brought civilization, agriculture, and law to the people. He represented everything orderly and righteous. Seth, consumed by jealousy and a lust for power, plotted to usurp his brother's throne. The story goes that Seth secretly measured Osiris's body and then hosted a magnificent banquet. During the feast, he brought out a beautiful, ornate chest and declared that whoever fit inside it perfectly could keep it. One by one, the guests tried and failed. Finally, Osiris lay down in the chest and it was a perfect fit. Immediately, Seth and his co-conspirators slammed the lid shut, sealed it with lead, and threw it into the Nile. This act of fratricide plunged Egypt into turmoil. Isis, Osiris's devoted wife, frantically searched for her husband's body. She eventually found the chest, but Seth's cruelty wasn't finished. He found the body and in a fit of rage, he dismembered Osiris into 14 pieces, scattering them all across Egypt. This act wasn't just murder, it was an attack on the very concept of order and the integrity of the kingdom. Each piece of Osiris's body had to be found and reassembled by Isis and her sister Nephthys, Seth's own wife, who had sided against him. This myth became the foundation for the Egyptian beliefs about death, resurrection, and the afterlife. Osiris became the ruler of the underworld, the promise of eternal life for the righteous, while Seth became the archetypal usurper, the symbol of illegitimate rule and civil strife. The conflict didn't end there. It was passed down to the next generation. Horus, the son of Osiris and Isis, was born to avenge his father and reclaim his rightful throne. The ensuing battle between Horus and Seth was a series of epic, often brutal contests that lasted for 80 years. These weren't just physical brawls. They were magical duels and legal battles judged by the other gods. In these tales, Seth often used trickery and brute force, while Horus represented legitimacy and divine right. For example, in one famous episode, they transformed into hippos and battled in the Nile. In another, Seth tore out one of Horus's eyes, which later became the famous Eye of Horus, a powerful symbol of protection and healing. Ultimately, the gods ruled in favor of Horus, restoring order to Egypt and crowning him king. Seth was defeated but not destroyed. He was exiled to the desert, his rightful domain, and tasked with his role as the thunderer in the sky and the defender of Ra's solar boat. This eternal struggle between Horus and Seth became a powerful political metaphor in ancient Egypt. The unification of Upper and Lower Egypt, the very foundation of the pharaonic state, was seen as the reconciliation of the principles embodied by these two gods. The pharaoh was the living Horus, the maintainer of order, but he also had to incorporate the strength and martial prowess of Seth to be a complete and effective ruler. Some pharaohs, particularly during periods of foreign rule or internal conflict, even identified strongly with Seth. The Hyksos, foreign rulers who controlled parts of Egypt, worshipped Seth, linking him with their own storm god. Later pharaohs of the Ramesside period, like Seti-Ern, whose name means he of Seth, and Rameses the Great, honored him as a great warrior god and patron of their dynasty. This shows how Seth's reputation could shift. He wasn't just the villain. He was also a symbol of foreign power and the strength needed to rule over a diverse and sometimes rebellious empire. Over time, however, as Egypt faced invasions from foreign powers like the Assyrians and Persians, Seth's connection to foreignness became increasingly negative. He started being demonized. The chaotic god who was once a necessary part of the cosmic balance slowly transformed into a figure more akin to a purely evil entity. He became associated with Egypt's enemies, and his images were sometimes defaced or destroyed. The complex, dual-natured god was flattened into a simple symbol of evil, a stark departure from his earlier roles. This transformation reflects the changing anxieties and political realities of ancient Egypt. When the world felt stable, chaos could be managed and even respected. But when threatened from the outside, chaos became the face of the enemy. In the end, Seth remains one of the most dynamic and fascinating figures in any mythology. He is a testament to the sophisticated way the ancient Egyptians viewed their world. They understood that order cannot exist without the threat of chaos, that light needs darkness to define it, and that even in the most destructive forces, there can be a seed of protective power. Seth is the storm, the desert, the foreigner, the usurper, and the protector. He is the eternal challenger who, through his conflict, ultimately helps to define and strengthen the very order he seeks to overthrow. He teaches us that the world is not a simple story of good versus evil, but a constant dynamic balance of opposing forces. What do you think? Is Seth a villain, a misunderstood anti-hero, or something else entirely? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We love hearing from you. If you enjoyed this deep dive into Egyptian mythology, please give this video a thumbs up and consider subscribing to our channel for more journeys into the ancient past. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.